Hey guys, before the video begins, I want to talk about this awesome opportunity that this company called Tayamo gave me. So basically, it's a new app that they developed that kind of helps me keep in touch with you guys. And the way this works is it's kind of like an app, and what it does is I can say, hey, what kind of videos would you guys like to see? And it will kind of send it to you as a text message, so you know basically like right away, and you can answer right away. This would be fantastic for some of my, really good, awesome fans. So I think it would be great. And it's really cheap too. It's only $2.50 a month. And we're going to open up 25 spots to test it out and see how things go. So this is definitely a great way to keep in contact with me, guys. There will be a link down in the description. And the link is tayamo.co/mcbuilder92. You'll see a link on the screen. All right, so let's get to the video, guys. Hey everybody, welcome to this series. So basically today we are going to be building a city. So I've been asking and telling you guys about, should I make a series to where I show you guys how to build a city, because I've been talking about it for a while, and in a lot of comments I've been saying yes, you should show us how to start a city, because I feel like a lot of people want to know, but some people maybe don't know where to start. So that's kind of what this series is going to be. So first of all, I am on the PC using World Edit to kind of make things faster. But everything I will be doing can be done by hand if so. And also I am on a super flat world, just to kind of, that's usually what I build my cities on. So first off, what you want to do to start a city, now again, these are all my opinions on how to start it. So first of all, I'm going to start off with a river. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to hit this here using World Edit. And I'm just going to come all the way over here and start my river. Now the river right here is going to be flat, and so it'll be pretty simple to make. And I say we'll stop it probably around here would be good. Now this is a custom flat map. If you are doing this on just a regular flat map, it is still possible. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to say replace 2 with, actually let's go replace 3 with water. And we're going to go replace 2 with water. And voila, now well, let's do this. Replace 0 with water as well. Perfect. All right, now you can kind of see our river here. Now, obviously, this is a pretty big river. If you're going to do this by hand, it definitely might take some time. Now, I would definitely suggest if you do want to make a river like this, one thing I would suggest is making it to where the water is 1 block down, okay? Now, this river doesn't go too far, but it's kind of just here for an example. We're not going to be building an entire city here, so just keep that in mind. Let's go set, actually let's go replace water with 0. And okay, so there we go. Now it's 1 block down, which does make it look a little bit better. Now here's the reason why I think you should start off with something like a river or something like that, because it's a lot easier to make the river first and then figure out where to put it. And also you get the scale correct. If you do want to make a big river, it's a lot harder to figure out later on after you have buildings to go, oh, I probably could have built this here. So I think starting off with a river is your best bet to go if you do want to go that route. Now obviously a river is not mandatory to do and to make a city, but it's something I like doing because you can add bridges going across. You can kind of expand out a little bit more. And it does take up quite a bit of space that you can actually use to expand and make different ways around the city. And let's be honest, most cities do have rivers in them. So it's just a good thing to have. Now what I'm going to do now is this, again, using World Edit, I'm going to change the walls into stone. Now the reason for this is, again, not really necessary, but I feel like what this does, this kind of makes it look a little bit more professional. It kind of makes it look more man-made. Now, when you get to the outer skirts of the city, you don't really have to do this. But especially like on my city, South Lake, I replaced the dirt with stone because what it did, it made it look more professional. It made it look nicer. But when I'm going to get to the outskirts of the city, it will actually turn into just keeping it the same way it looked originally. So just kind of keep that in mind as well. Now, again, we're going to do the same thing to the other side here. So if I am moving too fast, I am sorry. This isn't meant to be a building tutorial. This is meant to show you how I would start a city. Okay, so we have one of the main things done. Now again, we talked about how big the river is, and how long it is isn't exactly a good representation of how far the map would actually go. This is a good area to start though, if you do want to start adding turns to your river to make it look more natural as well. But next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with some roads. So a lot of my roads, there's probably a really big debate about with some people. My roads are usually 11 blocks wide. Now, the reason for that is each lane is then 5 blocks. Now, the reason for that is because then when you have a car on the road and you still have one extra block on both sides if you make the car in the middle. So what I'm going to come 1 block away from the river here, and we're just going to go boom. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay. And now what we're going to do, we're just going to follow this line. And again, I'm using World Edit to kind of speed things up a little bit, so we're not spending 3 hours doing one tiny thing. Now, another great thing about making the roads 11 wide, if you put TNT in the middle, if you lay out your roads, you only have to get rid of 1 block or 1 layer, which I think is definitely a great thing. So what we're going to do now is I'm just going to go set black, which stands for black wool, and voila. Now you can kind of see the road taking place. Now, if you don't like how this looks exactly, the road being right next to what we have here, like right next to the river, you can move it over a couple blocks, which actually might be the better idea. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to move this over a couple blocks. That way, so if there is an accident, kind of for realism here, if there is an accident, you're not going to fall into the river. So this is a good thing to have, but it needs to be just a little bit farther away from the river itself. So all we're going to do, again using World Edit is an amazing thing. I did wish we had it on console. We'll move it 5 to the right. There we go. And we'll just replace all this with everything else. And I can't reach that far yet. Come on. There we go. Replace 0 with 2. And voila. Now, if you did want to have a kind of like a walking path or a bike path next to the river, that's definitely a great thing that you can definitely do. And also, if you don't like how the walls of the river look so plain, you can add more design to them if you want. But just for the sake of the tutorial, we're not going into too much detail. We're going into how to actually start. Now, another thing you might want to do is, I'm going to take out some stone here, is usually I like to make up a railing for the river so it goes 1 block higher than the water, or technically 2 blocks. Now what this does, this kind of makes it to where it's kind of like a safety feature, excuse me, because then what it does, it makes it to where if you did, for example, swerve off the road, you would run into a barrier, not just go straight into the river. And also, I think it does make things a little bit nicer when you're actually making like a sidewalk or anything going along the river, mainly because it kind of separates a lot of the materials from each other. It adds more depth. So set 1, and there we go. So as you can tell, it kind of makes it look a little bit better. We'll do time set to 0, and perfect. So what this kind of does, again, more realism here as well, but also it adds more depth and, you know, design. You can actually add more design now that this is 1 block above the actual sea level. Okay, so next we need to do, this is probably, so we made 1 road so far. Now this is probably where people get stuck the most if you're trying to build a city, is, okay, I have a road, where do I go from here? Usually what you want to do to start off a city is make a couple roads first, and then you want to actually work on then making a couple buildings. Now here's the reason why. While we're discussing this, I'm going to add a yellow line here in the middle. Boop. And the reason why is if you make all the roads first, then you kind of have a really small plot, maybe not even small, but you maybe have too big or too small of a plot for your building that you want to build there. But if you make at least 2 roads, then after the building is done, then you complete the roads and connect them going around the building, it might look a little bit better in my opinion. So let's set this to yellow, and perfect. So what I mean by that is, okay, I want to add a building that's going to be a pretty decent sized building. I already have loaded up. And what I want to do, I'm going to start a intersection probably around here. Now this road again will be 11 wide. So we're going to count. So this is 1. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Alright, and so we're just going to stack up this road coming out pretty far so we can make our building. And what we're going to do is, just like what we did before, set black. And then we're going to set a yellow line in the middle. Now, not all your roads have to be this big. Some can actually be bigger if you want to incorporate highways and more lanes. These are meant to be a 1-lane road. And then set yellow. Perfect. Okay, so now we will fine tune this a little bit later on. But here's what I'm talking about now to why you want to build at least 2 roads before you start putting a building. Because now what I can do is I can say I have a building loaded up with world edit. I can go /paste, I believe. Now we're going to have to see where it spawns in. I'm not sure if it's going to spawn in on this side, that side, you know. We'll have to wait and see once it loads in. Which hopefully doesn't take too long. It was a pretty big building that I copied. Alright, so in the meantime, what we're going to... Oh, okay. So what we need to do is this will actually work out just fine. So we're going to /undo. Okay. So not all your buildings have to be facing the river. As you can tell, this is a very big building. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come over to this side here. Now you want to make it your building probably around 3 to 4 blocks away from the road itself, if not more, so you can actually have room for a sidewalk. And what I'm going to do is just do the same thing, /paste. And this should put our building somewhere right here along this road. And we're just going to have to wait for that to spawn in. Now, a couple things you want to do while you're working on your roads. When you get to an intersection like this, something I like to do is I will come to the corners of each intersection like this. I'm going to set it to black, and you'll see why in a second. Okay, so now you can kind of see it looks more like an intersection now. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take out some snow. Okay, and what you're going to do is you're going to come 1 block away from each side of the corner, and you're going to make a little walk path that's going to be a line that's 4 long. And basically you're going to do this going all the way across the road. Now, what I like about this adds more depth and more colors to your city. But also, I feel like it makes it look a little bit nicer as well. It adds a little bit more realism that we are desperately trying to go for when making a city, if you are going for that realistic route. And what you want to do this to all 3 sides. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And basically we're just going to keep doing this until we have all 3 sides done. Now this is a 3-way intersection, not a 4, but the same thing would apply to a 4-way intersection as well. Now when you get to a residential area, the intersections do kind of change a little bit. And basically instead of being a whole bunch of different lines, it's more of one big line going all the way across. And you have 2 of them. And now we just have to do the same thing one more time. Oh, and we can fill that back in a minute. Now you can make these lines a little bit bigger if you want to. I think 4 is a good, a good size for them because it's not too big, but it's not too small, and it definitely still catches your eye, which is kind of the main point. And I like to use snow because snow stands out a little bit more than the white wool, especially when it comes to the black wool. And then when you get to the yellow wool here, if your road is an odd number, you see that the yellow goes right through it. You want to get rid of the yellow all the way to there's 1 piece of black wool behind this thing here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go, we'll start it here. /replace 0 with black. And I have to do the same thing here real quick. Boom. Okay. Now we're not fully done. So what we're going to do now is, I know in the US you drive on the right side. If you're making a UK city, you might want to do this on the left. And what we're going to do, we're going to get rid of this last piece of yellow wool. And basically we're going to make a line that kind of represents a stop point for a stoplight. So we're going to do this on all 3 intersections, because if you have it on one, you need to have it on the other. Now if you do want to add a stop sign, I would still suggest doing the same thing, because you still have that stop point that is extremely important. And voila, now you can kind of see that we have a full intersection laid out. It looks pretty good. And voila, so here is why we want to start making roads before we start making the buildings. So speaking of the building, we now finally have this building up and ready to go. So what we're going to do next, we're going to make a road going around the building. So here's what I was talking about earlier. If you're trying to start a city, the reason we made a road first is because we know where we want the building to go, but now we know how big the building is. For example, if we didn't put this building down first and I just made a road over here, maybe like right here, if I made a road, the building would have gone into the road, which means we would have to compromise design and space, because of the design that we already had for the roads. But now we can make the roads actually go around and work with the building. So what we can do is we're just going to make a road right here. So let me count this out again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And we're just going to come all the way out. And we're going to have it come all the way out past the building. And I think right here will be good. And we'll go set black. Perfect. And then we're going to add our yellow line here in the middle. This doesn't seem like 11. Let me count this out real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, it is. Oh, here's the middle. For some reason, it looked off to me. Now, we're not going to do the intersection thing on this road to kind of save us a little bit of time, but you get the gist of things. And all I'm going to do is go /set yellow, and voila. Now, our plot for the building is better. We have more space to work with now instead of compromising for space because we made the roads first. So this is probably the biggest thing that some people can mess up on a city, mainly because of the fact that if you make the roads first, then you have a certain size plot you have to go and work with. But if you make one road first and then make your building and then add a road going around that building, it might look a little bit better. Because now we could even add another road going on this side, connecting the two sides together to make one big plot, or we could even add more buildings going across and then have a intersection somewhere else. So this is definitely the main thing I think that's extremely important when it comes to making a city, mainly because it's just the space you can save and the amount of space that you can use is completely different. We're gonna go replace 0 with 2. I'm tired of having all the water here. So I think we're looking pretty good. So for the actual sidewalks themselves, I've used a couple things over the years, and we do need to go over parking lots because that is another thing I see people mess up all the time, in my opinion. But for in here, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to make the sidewalks stone slabs, which I believe is like number 47 in the item block. So all I'm going to do is get rid of all this dirt. So we're going to go /set to 47. Nope, that definitely wasn't it. /undo. Maybe is it 45? Nope. I mean, the brick doesn't look bad, but you don't want to really use brick too much for the sidewalks. And I'm actually happy this happened because brick looks good. You can use brick for, like off-road limits, like places that may look a little bit more fancy and roads and cars can't go. But for the main part of your sidewalk, I would say stay away from using brick too much because it can look too much red and that adds a little bit too much color to your map, which can kind of throw you off from some of the designs that you might have added. Replace 45 with, I'm just going to put stone for now. I don't know the number for slabs. So voila, because stone's basically the same as the slabs. Now, the reason I want to use stone slabs rather than, stone, for example, even though we use stone here, is because I can use stone for buildings. Now, the reason I don't want to use the stone is because since I can use stone for a building, stone slabs you don't see too much in designs and stuff because, it takes longer to make them, especially on the 360. And I feel like what this does makes it to where your buildings don't clash too as much with the sidewalks, which is something that I think is very important. It adds more color and stuff like that. So as you can tell, we're looking pretty good here. Now, if we do want to add some trees in here, that would be a good thing. And I would probably make another building over here. So what I'm going to do is /rotate. Whoa, I spelled rotate wrong. Excuse me, guys. Rotate, we'll say, is 180. 180. And so what we're going to do now is basically make this exact same building across the street to kind of show you that what we would do again. And basically, your city should grow in this manner. And what I mean by that is kind of like what we have here. To where I made one road. Actually, I kind of made two roads. And then I put the roads going around it. And basically, you want to do that with every single building. Now, sometimes you can't really help that. But I say if you can avoid it, definitely do that. Because this definitely makes your city look a little bit better. So we might call it quits for this first part, guys. If you want to see more, let me know in the comments what you guys want and what you guys have been struggling on. If you do want to start, if you want to start your own city, let me know so I can kind of help you guys out. Basically, I kind of went over the basics that I had trouble with back then, and I've had plenty of experience with. So I think these are just some of the main things that we touched on today, because of the fact that they are very small things, but it can make a huge difference in your actual design of the city and your layout. So thank you very much for watching, guys. I will see you guys next part. Yeah, let me know in the comments, guys, what you guys want me to talk about and what you guys want to know about building a city, because I will definitely read the comments and know what you guys want to see. So bye bye, guys, and thank you for watching.
Power just drains from...
Go! Oh my god! Where'd it go?
What?
Oh, it blew
I looked
up.
away.
Oh my god. How do you go?